I came home after a 16-hour hospital shift, bone-tired, my body barely mine. All I wanted was to kiss my daughter goodnight, watch her chest rise and fall, feel that one thread of peace in a day full of pain. She was only 6, tiny, radiant, my light. But when I walked into the room, something was off. She was too still, too pale. No blanket kicked off, no whispering dreams, just motionless. I bent down, brushed her cheek. Cold. I whispered her name, once, twice, then louder. Ari? Ari, baby, wake up. Nothing. I pulled her up, her head lolled back like a rag doll. That's when my body went cold. I screamed her name. Nothing. I ran to the hallway, heart in my throat, lungs refusing to breathe. My mother was sitting in the living room, scrolling on her phone like nothing was wrong. What the hell happened? I demanded. She didn't even flinch. She was being annoying, she said flatly. So I gave her something to calm her down. She wouldn't stop singing that damn cartoon song. My world stopped. You did what? Then came my sister's voice from the kitchen, laughing. Relax. It's just a pill or two. She'll probably wake up. And if she doesn't, well, maybe we'll finally get some peace around here. That moment broke something in me I didn't even know could break. I called 911, hands shaking, voice calm in a way that terrified even me. The ambulance came fast. They took her, my baby, still limp, still silent. I followed them in a trance, holding her tiny sock in my hand, like it might still be warm. When the doctor handed me the toxicology report, I read it once, then again. I couldn't speak, because it wasn't one pill. It was 6. 6 sedatives meant for adults. Enough to put down a grown man. And my mother, the woman I once trusted to rock her to sleep, had fed them to my child like it was nothing. My sister shrugged. She'll get over it. Kids bounce back. No. Not this time. Not this mother. My name is Selena Grant. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Because what I did next wasn't just for Ari. It was for every mother who's ever had to fight her own family to keep her child alive. The ICU lights buzzed low overhead. Machines blinked beside her. Tiny, cold beeps counting the seconds. I might never get back. Ari lay in that hospital bed, her lashes still flecked with glitter from the night before. I brushed her hair back gently, praying through gritted teeth. Please stay. Please wake up. Mama's here. But I couldn't cry. Not yet. Because crying meant weakness. And my daughter needed a warrior, not a weeping mess. Outside the glass, the nurse handed me the report. Confirmed again. 6 adult sleeping pills. It's a miracle she's breathing, he said. My hands were already dialing. Not family. Police. I gave my mother's full name, address, explained everything, and didn't flinch when they said they were sending officers. For the first time in my life, I wasn't protecting her. I was protecting my child from her. When I got home hours later, my mother was in the same chair, like she hadn't just nearly killed a 6-year-old. My sister looked up with a smirk. You still mad? I walked past her, into Ari's room, the bed still unmade. The stuffed bear she clutched in the hospital now limp on the floor. I picked it up, held it, and made my decision. Pack your bags, I said, voice low. Police are on their way, and you're not spending another night under this roof. My mother blinked like I slapped her. You're serious? I stared through her. You fed my daughter drugs to make your evening quieter, and you left me a body to come home to. My sister scoffed. You think they'll care? It's family. That was the moment I realized. They still thought they could get away with it. That blood would shield them. That history excused murder in slow motion. But I was done being their silence. The knock came. Uniforms. Handcuffs. Statements taken. I didn't blink. I didn't cry. I just watched them go. Like trash finally being taken out. Then I sat on Ari's bed, held her bare close, and whispered, You're safe now. Mama burned the bridge for good. I had no family left. But I had something more sacred, a second chance to protect what was mine. I didn't sleep, not for 2 days. I sat beside her bed in that pale, humming room, watching the rise and fall of her chest, measured by machines that had become my new religion. The nurses brought me coffee. The doctors gave me cautious hope. But I didn't move, except to pray. I replayed that moment again and again. Her tiny body limp in my arms, the warmth slipping away. I'd carried strangers through trauma for years. As a nurse, I knew the drill. Vitals, dosages, compression rhythms. But nothing in my training prepared me to see my own child on life support, put there by the women who raised me. I didn't tell the hospital staff the full truth. Not yet. But the officer called me back. Said my mother had confessed. Casually, almost like a joke. It was just a pill. She was making noise. I needed peace. And my sister? She laughed in the background. You people are so dramatic. They were both being held for reckless endangerment. Pending charges. Maybe more. I didn't care about the sentence. I cared that Ari still hadn't woken up. Until the morning of the third day. The sun just barely cutting through the hospital window. I was humming. A lullaby she used to love. Mindless. Gentle. That's when I felt it. A pressure.
Small. Weak.
But real. She squeezed my finger. Ari? I gasped, leaping forward. Baby, can you hear me? Her eyelids fluttered. A whisper of breath. Then a sound, raw, hoarse. Mama? I broke. Fell forward. Forehead against her hand. Tears soaking the blanket. I'm here, baby. I'm here. You're safe. Her pulse was still faint. Her voice weaker than I'd ever heard. But she was back. Not because of prayers. Not because of miracles. But because that little girl was stronger than the women who tried to silence her. The doctor came in and froze. Smiled like he didn't want to jinx it.
She's fighting, he said.
She's coming back to you. I nodded. But in my heart, I whispered, no, I'm coming back to her. Because the woman I was before, the one who excused toxic blood, who second-guessed herself in the name of family, she died the night Ari nearly did. What rose in her place was a mother, who would burn the whole world down, before letting anyone hurt her child again. The doctors called her recovery remarkable. I called it a resurrection. Ari stayed in the hospital another week. They watched her lungs, monitored her heart, flushed every last trace of poison. My own mother had forced down her throat. But slowly, the color returned to her cheeks. She started whispering little things, favorite cartoons, songs, asking where her teddy was. And with each word, I came back to life too. But as Ari healed, my anger sharpened. What they did to her, what they tried to normalize,
would not go quietly.
So while Ari slept, I met with a lawyer. She read the toxicology report, twice without speaking, then said, we won't just press charges. We'll go after custody rights, restraining orders, and full public record. I nodded. I want their names on file. I want my daughter's future protected from every corner their shadows might crawl into. My mother tried to call me again.
Blocked.
My sister posted a rant online, calling me ungrateful, saying I turned my back on family for attention. I didn't respond, but I screenshotted it.
Proof.
Because they were still dangerous, even with handcuffs around their wrists. Then came the CPS interview. Cold questions, tired eyes. But I told the full truth. They drugged my daughter because she was singing too loud. I handed over the medical records, the police report, the text my sister sent after her arrest. Hope she remembers this when she's older. Kids are so dramatic. The agent closed her folder slowly. We'll make sure they don't get near her again. I exhaled for the first time in weeks. The war wasn't over, but I had drawn the line. And this time, I stood on the right side of it. When Ari finally came home, she ran into her room, spun in circles, hugged her teddy like it had been through the fire with her. Then she looked up at me and said, Mama, we don't have to see mean grandma anymore, right? I bent down, held her face in my hands.
No, baby.
Never again. Mama made sure of that. Because from this moment on, I wasn't just her mother. I was her sword and her shield. And I swore, on everything I had left, they would never touch her again. 2 weeks after Ari came home, I got the letter. Not an apology. Not remorse. A legal notice. My mother and sister had hired a lawyer. They were claiming wrongful arrest, saying I'd exaggerated events. Out of stress. Stress. As if nearly killing my daughter was a misunderstanding. As if drugging a 6-year-old was something families just work through. Their argument? She's unstable. She works long shifts.
She's exhausted.
Maybe she misunderstood. They were trying to paint me as the danger, the overworked single mom, the emotional wreck. They forgot who I am. I printed every record. The 911 call transcript, the lab report with pill levels no child could survive, the police statement where my mother admitted she just wanted peace. And I filed a counterclaim. Defamation. Emotional trauma. Endangerment. The lawyer I'd hired didn't flinch. She said, "This won't be a negotiation. This is the nail in their coffin." Meanwhile, I stayed focused on Ari. She started singing again. Softly at first. In the bathroom. Under her breath while drawing. The same song my mother silenced her for. And I let her sing it. Louder and louder. Until the whole apartment echoed with it. Because that voice? It was freedom. It was proof that my daughter still believed this world had joy in it. My sister posted online again. Said I was turning her niece against her. I didn't reply. I just had my lawyer screenshot it and attach it to the custody file. They'd lost their freedom. Now they were losing their narrative. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the tired nurse, the obedient daughter, the one who made excuses. I was a mother who drew a line in the sand and dared anyone, to cross it again. And when the court date came, I wore the scrubs they always mocked me for, not because I had no time to change, but because they were a uniform of survival. They whispered when I walked in. Their lawyer looked smug, until the judge read the words aloud. Toxic levels of zolpidem found in a minor. Intentional administration by a non-guardian adult. The room fell silent. My mother stopped smiling. My sister turned red. And I sat there, holding Ari's favorite bear in my lap, knowing that for once, the truth was speaking louder than their lies. The courtroom was ice cold. Not just in temperature, in truth. My mother sat stiff, lipsticked, perfumed, as if packaging herself as innocence would erase what she did. My sister twirled a pen between her fingers.
Bored.
Like this was all an inconvenience, not the aftermath of a near death. I didn't look at them. Not once. I looked at the judge. And when asked to speak, I stood. Your Honor. My daughter is 6. She's afraid to sleep. She checks her drinks now, asks me if I made them. She has nightmares about being too loud. And all because her own grandmother, the woman I trusted with her life, decided silence was more important than safety. I laid the evidence on the table. Medical records, toxicology, photos, screenshots. Then the 911 recording played, my voice trembling, Ari's breath shallow in the background. Everyone heard it. Every
last
second. Even the judge shifted. The defense didn't have a case. Just smoke. Just shame wearing perfume. Their lawyer tried one last thing. Said maybe it was accidental. Maybe I was overworked. The judge interrupted. Voice sharp. This child was given 6 times the adult dose of sedatives. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's attempted murder. My mother burst into tears. But not the kind that said remorse. The kind that screamed, I just lost control. My sister stood, stormed out, slammed the door loud enough to startle the bailiff. The ruling was clear. Small blue diamond lifetime restraining order. Small blue diamond criminal charges for reckless endangerment. Small blue diamond full custody reinforced to me. with 0 visitation rights for either of them. The judge looked me dead in the eye. You protected your child when no one else did. This court thanks you for your courage. And I sat down, not as a victim, not even as a survivor, but as a mother who burned down every bridge that dared threaten her baby. That night, I told Ari the truth in the gentlest way. She listened quietly. Then she whispered, "You saved me." I kissed her forehead. "No, baby. You saved me. You reminded me who I really am." And as she fell asleep, finally peaceful, finally safe, I stood by her door and whispered to the dark, "You don't win. Not this time. Not ever again." The house was quiet now. Not tense, not hollow, just calm. Ari's laugh started coming back in full. She danced barefoot in the living room again, sang off-key with her cartoons, and painted hearts on every inch of the fridge. Every night, I sat by her side as she drifted off, because I wanted her last image before sleep to be love, not fear. But even in peace, the past still tried to knock. I got a letter. From jail. Handwritten, shaking ink. "My mother. You've destroyed this family. I didn't mean to hurt her. You've always been too emotional. We raised you better than this." There it was again. The gaslight. The guilt grenade. Dressed like an apology, but poisoned at the core. I didn't read it twice. I shredded it. My therapist said something that stuck with me. Abuse from family doesn't deserve a softer name. So I said it out loud that night. Alone. In the mirror. My mother abused my daughter. My sister enabled it. And I stopped it. Because naming it, that was power. And I refused to raise Ari in a home where secrets rot under the rug. I took time off work. We left town for a weekend. Just me and my daughter. Ocean breeze. Melting ice cream. Her tiny hand in mine as we walked the shore. She asked, "Will we ever have a big family again?" And I smiled gently. "We will. But we'll choose every single one of them. Because family isn't who shares your blood. It's who would never poison your child for quiet." We sent postcards to ourselves from that beach. On the back of mine, I wrote, "Day 1 of a life where love isn't conditional." And when we got home, I framed it. Every time I pass it, I remember. Peace isn't passive. It's earned. It's defended. And sometimes, it means walking away from everything you were told to keep close. 3 months later, I stood in the courtroom one last time. Not to testify. Not to fight. Just to witness the end. The judge read the sentence aloud. My mother, 5 years, with no chance of early release. My sister, 2 years probation, mandatory psychological evaluation. There were no gasps. No begging. Just silence. The kind that comes when the truth finally finishes speaking. I didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Didn't celebrate. I just stood, a storm in stillness, and nodded. Then I walked out, and never looked back. Outside, the sun was warm. Ari waited on the steps, swinging her legs, hugging the bear that survived everything with her. "Did the bad people go away?" she asked. I knelt down, brushed the hair from her cheek. "Yes, baby. They're gone. And they're never coming back." We drove home with the windows down. Her voice, singing, laughing. Free again. Not small. Not scared. Full. When we got inside, she ran to the fridge, pointed at the framed postcard from our trip. "Mama, that's our magic paper?" I smiled. "Yeah. That's the day we became our own family." Later that night, we made cupcakes. No reason. Just joy. She put sprinkles on each one. Too many. But I didn't stop her. We danced in the kitchen, her arms flung wide, spinning in circles like she was trying to catch every ounce of happiness. And me? I just watched. Because this was the justice. Not the sentence. Not the headlines. Not even the court orders. It was her smile. Unbroken. Unbent. Untouched by their cruelty. They tried to silence her with poison. Tried to break me with guilt. Tried to wrap their abuse in the pretty paper of family. But I burned it all. And from the ashes, we built something honest.
Safe.
And fierce. Ari fell asleep with frosting on her nose that night, her bear tucked under her chin. And as I stood at the door, watching her breathe, I whispered the words that had carried me through it all. You are safe. You are loved. You are free.